In early February 2023, people across Montana looked up in the sky and saw this, a massive white balloon.
When I spotted it out of the corner of my eye, I thought that maybe it was a star or a planet, but it was broad daylight. And when I locked eyes on it, it was just far too big to be a star or a planet.
The US government knew about it already. The Pentagon had been tracking it since it entered American airspace days earlier. But it wasn't until civilians started filming it and posting videos online that the government finally had to admit something strange was happening.
In regards to our announcement last night regarding the high-altitude surveillance balloon, I'm not going to have much new information to provide other than to say that the North American Aerospace Defense Command continues to monitor it closely. While we won't get into specifics in regards to the exact location, I can tell you that the balloon continues to move eastward and is currently over the center of the continental United States. Again, we currently assess that the balloon does not present a military or physical threat to people on the ground at this time. We'll continue to monitor and review options.
The truth is, it was a Chinese spy balloon floating over America. So how did the US know that this wasn't just some stray weather balloon? Military radar and NORAD detected it as it entered US airspace. Its altitude and flight pattern immediately stood out. This wasn't normal. Then there was the equipment on board. High-resolution photos revealed antennas, sensors, and cameras, all pointing to intelligence gathering. Pentagon officials were blunt. This is clearly for intelligence collection. And the path it took made it even more suspicious. It floated right over sensitive military sites, including missile silos in Montana. Not exactly something a civilian weather balloon would do. Finally, tracing the balloon led straight back to a Chinese organization with ties to the People's Liberation Army. When the US officials contacted Beijing, they initially didn't acknowledge the balloon, a stark contrast to the later claim that it was a civilian airship blown off course. Put simply, radar, equipment, flight path, and ownership all confirmed it was a Chinese spy balloon. Now here's the shocking part. Even after the balloon was identified as Chinese, the US government did nothing. They just tracked it. They knew it was gathering intelligence. They even knew it was maneuverable, that it wasn't just drifting randomly. But they didn't take it down. Officials later said they worried debris might fall and hurt people on the ground. But the truth is, the balloon crossed thousands of miles of mostly empty land before reaching the East Coast. So why wait? That's the big question. Again, it wasn't until civilians pointed their phones at the sky that the truth came out. So think about it. The Pentagon didn't go public. American citizens did. Only after the balloon had crossed the entire continental US, 7 days later, was it finally shot down off the coast of South Carolina.
I gave the order to take down these three objects due to hazards to civilian commercial air traffic and because we could not rule out the surveillance risk of sensitive facilities.
But by then, the damage was done. Not just the intelligence risk, but the message it sent. A foreign surveillance balloon had flown across America, and the US government allowed it.
What did you learn from that?
It exposed significant gaps, long-range gaps, for us to be able to see potential threats to the homeland. I think that opened the eyes of a lot of people and the need to move forward on domain awareness, the need for collaboration between fellow combatant commands with the intelligence community and across the department ultimately.
After the balloon was shot down, China did not apologize. The Chinese government called the balloon a civilian airship blown off course, insisting that it was for meteorological research, not spying, even in the face of US intelligence and public evidence. China framed the story to downplay wrongdoing, turning it into a debate about responsibility rather than admitting surveillance. The diplomatic fallout was immediate. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken canceled a high-profile trip to Beijing. The US sanctioned 6 Chinese companies tied to balloon technology. But none of that changed the basic fact. The US military and government let a Chinese spy balloon cross the entire nation before taking action.
I told them to shoot it down.
On Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
But the recommendation.
They said to me, let's wait till the safest place to do it.
So here's the thing. Spying between countries isn't rare. It's constant. During the Cold War, the US flew U-2 spy planes over the Soviet Union. In 1960, one was shot down, sparking a crisis. U-2 spy planes is how the US learned about the missile buildup in Cuba, which then led to the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Soviets planted KGB spies inside the US government, stealing nuclear secrets and space tech. Now fast forward, and spying is everywhere. The US runs satellites, drones, and cyber operations around the globe. In 2013, Edward Snowden revealed how the NSA spied not only on adversaries, but on American citizens as well. China has been caught hacking US companies, stealing fighter jet blueprints, and infiltrating universities for research data. Everyone spies on everyone, but here's the difference. Most of the time, it's hidden. But the balloon? It wasn't hidden. It was visible to millions of Americans, and that's what made it so shocking. This wasn't just a spy balloon. It was a test of how America responds when being watched. The answer was clear. The US government hesitated. It worried more about optics and debris than about sovereignty.
It was certainly challenging to work through authorities' options. It was something that we had not seen before over the homeland, and there's not a lot of capabilities to go after something that's slow moving at 65,000 feet. And so we had to work our way through what that would look like. What I would point out to you is we didn't know how effective we'd be if we were going to shoot it down. And more importantly, what we didn't know is what the debris field would actually look like. And initially when we were working with NASA, it was about a 60 nautical mile by 60 nautical mile debris field where we thought the debris would fall out. We're talking several thousand pounds, school bus size objects potentially fall into the ground. We were able to work that down to 20 miles by 20 miles, and eventually by the time it approached the East Coast, about 6 nautical miles by 6 nautical miles. There's a reason we shot that thing down exactly 6 miles off the coast, and that was to minimize collateral damage and keep our citizens safe.
This wasn't just a balloon drifting across the skies. It was a symbol of something bigger: hesitation, weakness, and a government caught off guard. Next time, will the US act faster?